Welcome.
To the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 88 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. I am live broadcasting across YouTube, Twitch, AirMozilla, and maybe Facebook if all is going well. We'll see. I'm basically spewing these bits from my machine out into the ocean of the internet, and hopefully these streaming services are catching them. Welcome to the show. This is where I'm going to be doing some Firefox stuff. I'm going to be live hacking. It's going to be a great day. We're going to see what happens. Let's check it out. So I'm going to switch to my desktop, and I'm going to show you the agenda. Okay, so for the people who are in Twitch, I'm going to put this agenda in the chat. Boop, there it is. And for the people who are watching this on YouTube or on AirMozilla, on YouTube, check the video description. There should be the agenda. On YouTube, there's an additional link section below the video that you can find a link to the agenda for. And if you're on Facebook, I will put a link to the agenda somewhere in the comments of this video, maybe after the fact. I kind of screwed the pooch there. I did not put the agenda link in. I've just realized that now, and I apologize. So I'll hopefully put that in later. And yeah, let's see. Is everything working? I just want to double check before we continue. Is everything working? Can you hear me? Yes. Do you have sounds? Yes. Am I recording? Yes. Everything appears to be working. This is a very interesting situation. I'm not normally in a position where things are working. Usually things are broken halfway. I'm surprised that the stream appears to be up. I'm looking at a live preview. I can see it on Airmo. This is quite exciting. Okay, so I'll just move on. Let's get to work. What are we doing? Well, today, first of all, for the people who are new, just a reminder that if it's not immediately obvious, I don't really have much of a plan. Like, in this case, no plan survives breakfast for this stream. I kind of have a sense of the things I want to do, but I might not get through them all, and I might improvise, and I might get distracted. I might, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I might get pinged on some emergency in IRC and have to deal with that, and well, you'll just be along for the ride. Think of this as like a ride along on that TV show Cops, except that it's bugs in all caps with periods in between it. Okay, so what are we doing today? Well, I was debating between two things. One thing was doing more Rust work. We were doing a lot of work with Rust last week and the week before. And then there's this other thing about P-Screen Manager, and I'll explain that in a second. And there's land some patches from Longeray. There's one thing I want to do first before I consider doing either of these. I recently reviewed some patches, and I want to land them in the tree. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to put the link to the bug here. If you'll notice that, I mean, this agenda is not very useful to you because it's going to go out of date. Well, thankfully, it will synchronize periodically, and I'll try and save it every time I change it. And then if you reload the page, if you're reading the agenda, then you can click on the links and follow along. So this is the bug that a contributor named Matthias Longeray, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I've worked with this fellow for a couple of months now on some improvements to print preview and printing. And he's written some great patches, and I've reviewed a good chunk of them. Mike DeBoer reviewed one that changes Session Store. They've all gotten pluses, and now what I wanted to do is land them. And before I land them, I want to look at like the interdiff, because when I try and land them, so they're all green here, meaning that they've all been reviewed. But when I try and land these three, so that the commit has changed since the review was granted, that usually means that there was a rebase. A rebase occurred. The patch itself didn't change, but because it's based on a new version of the tree, then Moz Review considers that changed. And so I'm just going to quickly give these a second read through, make sure that they look hunky-dory, and then we can land them. So the first patch adds basically about print preview redirector, so that if you were to go to about print preview, then you'll essentially get a blank page. And that's not a thing that we expect our users to do, is to go to about print preview. This is mostly where we send the user when they open a print preview tab. And we use about print preview so that Session Store knows not to persist that tab. it knows that, oh, if a tab is here, don't save it to the disk. So we're adding print preview, and it's redirecting to about blank. That looks great. This all looks fine. This is the same stuff as it was before. Yep, load normal if we're about blank or a UI resource. That's great. And then we add that to the module. This looks good, so that's fine. That one's still good to go. This one is reverting some changes that were made. I think. Oh yeah, it's making a change to Session Store actually. It's checking to see if a tab is about print preview. Should save tab. There's should save tab state. Tab has only a transient about history known as Session Store. And then should save tab. Tab is one, so we don't actually want to write this tab's data to disk. Okay, then that looks okay too. I'm okay with that. And finally, update browser printing code accordingly to use about print preview. That looks great. So these are the changes that we expected. Nothing accidentally got snuck in during a rebase or anything, so it all looks good. So I'm going to land these patches on the auto land channel. So I can go to automation here, and I'm going to go land commits, and I'm going to say it's okay. Like these warnings that came up, thank you for doing your job, Moz Review, but it's a-okay. So I'm going to land this. So I just clicked on land, and now the work is going to do the job, like the auto land is going to do the job of attempting to land these patches in the tree, and hopefully it will pass muster, it will pass the tests that are in the tree, and we will see. So that's done. That was the first thing I wanted to do. And then the second thing is I want to talk about this bug that I was thinking of working on today. So this bug is more of a performance bug. I don't know if you know this, but if you open up your console, maybe you've done this in JavaScript before, you've referred to the screen API. So if you go window.screen, what you get is a bunch of information about the screen that the window that you're referring to is actually on. And that's like the physical screen. So it will tell you that the how much available width and height there is, the actual width and height of the screen. Like I think if I were to shrink the window, I think some of these numbers will change. No, that's not true. It's the reason that the available width is this and the available height. Oh, it's the right. So the dock I have here on the left is consuming some of the actual width, and so that's why there's less available width. And the same thing goes for the menu bar at the top. It's consuming some of the actual height, so there's a less available height and less available width, and this is the actual height and width. And then it tells us about color depth, pixel depth, and then I think where the screen is. Available top, available left 21. I guess that's not sure what that means. Maybe we should quickly refresh. I'm going to refresh my memory. Window.screen. What does it mean? And there's a purpose for this. There's a purpose for me looking this up. Return reference to screen object associated with the window. The screen object implements the screen interface special object for inspecting properties of the screen on which the current window is being rendered. And here's the screen interface. Avail top specifies the Y coordinate of the first pixel that is not allocated to permanent or semi-permanent user interface features. And basically, so what is the Y coordinate of the first pixel that can be drawn to? And that's what? Avail top. So that makes sense. Especially because avail height is 785, and that plus 15 is that total height of 800, which is what the screen's height is. Okay, and then that all makes sense. And then the orientation, some of this other stuff, that's all good. So why am I bringing this up? Well, in E10s, and this is actually going back quite a ways, with multi-process Firefox, which is what most people have these days, whenever you ask the web content, tell me about your screen, it has to actually ask the parent, because the content process itself has no information about what screen it's on, really. It just knows that it's rendering web content. The parent process, which knows where the tab is, where the browser window is what knows where the screen, like what screen it's on. And so what happens is whenever web content asks for screen dimensions, a message is sent to the parent saying, tell me about the screen I'm on. And then the message comes back with the results. But there's a problem. And the problem is that the message, well, I don't know if you know this, but window.screen is synchronous. Like, it requires me, like, I have to, I get a result right away. That's what I mean by synchronous. It's not like it's going to take a while and then come back with an answer. I have to get an answer right away. And we're messaging the parent process from the content process in such a way that we have to get an answer right away. And that is called a synchronous message. That means that the content process will wait. It will wait until an answer has come back from the parent, and until then, the content process can't do anything, until the parent responds. And like that seems to be behaving okay here, like I'm getting a response back, but there are many ways where that could be really problematic. Like if the parent is let's see, busy doing something else. Like what if the parent is garbage collecting or something? Or what if the parent is servicing some other events from the user and it doesn't have any time to answer this question right away? Well, what happens is that the content process is left there waiting and it's all locked up. The parent might be responsive to user events, but it hasn't handled the message yet to answered the message from the child, so the child's just waiting around. It's a bit like someone's come to your door and asked for some information, and you go off and make a sandwich, and they're just like waiting there at the door, with their clipboard for that information they wanted. Not that I really like it when people come to my door to ask for information, but that's the sort of thing that's going on here. And what we really want to do is not send a synchronous message, and that's what this bug is all about. pScreen Manager, which is a messaging interface between the content process and the parent and vice versa, should not use sync messages. That is the name of the bug. I filed this 2 years ago, and I have a full admission to make in that I was the one who added the synchronous messages. It was actually one of the first things I did. I made a screen... let me see if I can find the actual patch where I did the work. pScreen Manager IPDL. This was one of my first E10S bugs. And it was added right here. I got R+ from a bunch of people, but and that was 3 years ago when I started working on E10S. And all these patches got written, and that was because before then window.screen didn't even work. And so I made it work, and it took a lot of doing, and in doing so I added these synchronous messages. I ended up, what I want to do is something that is described in this bug, which is to, instead of having the content process synchronously ask, what are my screen dimensions, that information is not likely to change very frequently. That information will only ever change whenever the user plugs in a display and the window gets moved, or the user actually drags the window somewhere. And these are things that I think we should be able to detect in the parent process. So what I suspect we should do is anytime we create a browser tab, we immediately check what screen we're on, and we send those dimensions down to the content process, and the content process will store that information. Then, whenever something from web content asks, what are my dimensions, the content process can answer right away because it's storing the information. And then, if we move the window, or we unplug a display and the window is reallocated to a different display or something, or I don't think reallocate is the right term, but if it gets moved to a different display, then we should detect that and then update all of the browser tabs in that window to say, hey, your window screen dimensions completely changed, update your internal cache. That's what I think we should do, and that's what this bug's all about. So I wanted to spend some time today looking into how hard that would be. Asan reached out. Like, there's this ongoing effort to reduce the number of synchronous messages. Synchronous messages are just bad. It's a bad thing to do. We should avoid them where possible. In fact, there's a whole like sync IPC meta bug here to just stop doing sync IPC from the content process. And there's this is one of those bugs, and so this is part of that effort. And especially because I was the one who originally added these messages, I feel some responsibility. I feel like it's my job, it's my duty to go in and take care of business here. So that's my plan. So that's what I'm going to do. So I want to find out how hard is it to know when a window moves a screen, because that's really what we care about. That's the tricky bit. Having the content process store screen information is easy. It's a structure, and the tab child that hosts the web content that wants to use window.screen, we can easily store a structure in there with some data, no problem. It's updating that data. It's preloading and updating that data that's hard, and that's something that's different from platform to platform. That's, for example, something that we don't get a lot of, or at least I don't think we get a lot of support from like the Gecko layer to detect these sorts of things. So we might have to do some gluing to the various desktop platforms. We also have to think about how this may affect Android. Looking back at this this first bug, which I'm going to associate with sync message and E10S window.screen support in general was added in bug. So that's just me putting in a link there. I'm just going to associate the two bugs. And what else do I want to do? I want to look at the screen interface. So Gecko has this screen interface. This is what it uses to like talk about screens and talk about the underlying. That's the sort of platform agnostic interface for talking about screens. And let's see, what does it offer us? The Screen Manager offers us these following methods. Screen for rect, which will turn a screen for some rectangle that we give it. Screen for ID returns the screen corresponding to an ID. If no such screen exists, this will throw NS error failure. The ID is a unique numeric value assigned to each screen. It is an attribute available on the NSI screen interface. The screen with the menu bar taskbar. This shouldn't be needed very often. And then the number of screens that are available, and then system default scale. So we've got nothing in here that's going to tell us like when a screen has moved. No like events, NSI screen. Let's look at this interface. We've got all the things that we usually expose via like window.screen. Whoopsie daisy. But I don't see. There's get rect, available rect. We can lock some things and unlock some things. The scale factors, but we don't have any like events. And what about like are there window move events? JavaScript window move. Detecting if the browser window is moved. Maybe there's some like DOM window moved events that that are Gecko are restricted to just Gecko privileged code. Let's look for those. Window move. Window moved. NSView window moved. That's interesting. There's a widget listener and a window moved thing. Window moved. Begin window move. End window move. Notify window moved. That's interesting. Window moved. So what is notify window move is called when? It's called when an on configure event. These events are only received in top level windows. On configure. The window position may have changed. Invalidate the entire window after this move complete. WTF, says someone at Red Hat. Listen for window position change for IME. That's interesting. So we might already have some of the infrastructure that we need. Notify window moved. There's a widget listener, window moved. So I should start writing this down. Active bugs, P-Screen Manager. It looks like... Here, let me pump up the font. Boop, 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 boop. It looks like... What am I writing here? NS base widget has notify window moved, which I might be able to use here. We might be able to add a NSI widget listener, and here when a window that a tab parent belongs to moves, and then update the tab children accordingly. Is that possible? So what window moved? There's like an NS view window moved, widget listener, NS web shell window. Here's window moved. What do these all do? So when we notice that a web shell window has moved, we do fire this event, Moz update window position. Notify all tabs that the widget moved. If there's a dock shell, get top window. This might be a great place to put a message, just like to send a message. Hey, your window moved. You're now at this screen. Do we ever refer to screens in here? SI screen manager. Yep, we talked to the screen manager in here. Constrain to opener screen. So like that might be a useful place. What about widget listener? Just returns false there for some reason. And then widget moved. Or NS view window moved, we check to see if the widget is a pop-up, and if so, oh, we'll probably move the pop-up. That's interesting. So I wonder if maybe this is where we want to mess around in, window moved. So I'm gonna add that note. We might want to have I'm just going to remove that. We might want to have tell unbolt tell the remote tabs that their new screen dimensions. Let's see if NS web shell window moved is called when we move a window, a browser window. Let's find out. Let's do some testing. I'm gonna clear the formatting here. What? Font. How do I clear the formatting? Format. Call when we move a browser window. That's what I wanted to say. Okay, so let's prove it. Let's see if it happens. So how am I going to do that? So I've got a build of, whoopsie daisy. And let me pump up the font here. I've got a build of Mozilla Central here, and it's an opt build. I don't have a debug build, but an opt build might be enough. An optimized build. And what I'm going to do is I've got a bunch of open files here. Sorry about that. I know that annoys some people. I'm going to just like not save any of these things. Yeah, reload. Don't save. Okay. Hold on a second. I just realized something. One moment. One moment. I have to fix a thing. One second. I know this is not what you wanted to see, but just 1 second. I have to do a thing. One moment, one moment. What happened is I realized that I had exposed a token that I shouldn't have. I have now revoked that token, so it's not usable anymore. So that's good. I want to open up NS Web Shell window, and I want to see if window resized. That's not what we want. We want window moved. I'm going to see if this is called printf window has moved. That's a very easy way of seeing whether or not I'm entering this function. Build binaries, so build it. Now if this works, there is a way that I can, I think, tell every window or every remote browser in a window that something has changed. I'm trying to remember how that thing works. It's like tab child, broadcast. And CPP, some kind of like tell all tab child. That's not it. I don't have it right. But when did we want to broadcast? Oh, when the DPI changes. Yeah, we do something for DPI changing. We'll get a message about a DPI update. DPI MDPI. Return the DPI. It's like receive UI resolution changed. Send UI resolution changed. Here in tab parent. In NS press context, notify tab. Okay, we can enumerate the browsers. Notify children that the UI resolution has changed. This is how we do it. We'll find the top level window and we'll enumerate the browsers and we'll say notify that the UI resolution has changed. In this case, notify that the screen may have moved, that the screen has moved, or the screen has changed. Although we might be able to avoid that if the tab parent stores the ID of the last screen that was, because every screen has a unique ID. I've got a question from somebody in the IRC channel. One sec. Live hacking channel. This question says, I've got a little question. Notice something on Windows 10. An old spinner, Windows 7 style, on the last user channel's Firefox that appears when you load a tab from a preview from the icon. Just wondering if it's normal. Are you referring to... Hi. Are you referring to this? Hang on. Let me see. Tab spinner. Let me see. Where's a good, is there a good image of it? I might have to like I might have to demonstrate. So I can demonstrate by running a while loop. While true. So running a busy loop. Oh no, I can't because, shoot, that doesn't work anymore. Because now we force even during loops. So how do I make this happen? I need to lock up the content process. So what is the content process about? Performance. Let's see. So I'm gonna answer your question in a second, but I want to just double check that we're talking about the same thing. Frame loader, tab parent, OSPID. So that's process that. I'm going to attach LLDB. Remind me later. LLDB. I'm gonna. Come on. What's my password? I'm gonna attach to that process, and then I'm gonna pause. So this content process should be locked up now. Now if I switch tabs, is this what you're talking about? This thing in the middle. I'm gonna take a screenshot of it so I can paste it to you and you can say. What I'll do is I'll shrink this down so I can take a full-blown screenshot. Do you mean this thing? Boop. Do you mean this thing? Okay, and now I'm going to continue and detach. Quit. Okay, so that was how I can reproduce that, is by attaching a debugger. And we'll see what this user has to say about that. In the meantime, what have we got with our build? Did we finish building? We did. So now I'm going to run the build. So this is, I'm on Reddit apparently. And notice that I'm not seeing it. Oh, I got one window has moved right from the start. That's right there. Now if I alright, if I move to a different display, I get a couple of window has moved. I get two in that case for some reason. That's interesting. But this appears to work. I can detect when a window is moved, and whenever a window starts up, well, I can have the tab parent figure it out synchronously. Okay, so I think I have a strategy here. So I'm gonna write in the bug. Let's see, this user has not responded yet. Well. It looks like a window moved NSI widget listener. Let me just find the definition of widget listener. Window moved. Permalink. Looks like a window moved NSI widget listener method exists. I can probably just use that. Sad that I didn't catch that the first time. To detect if we've switched screens. Okay, so plan of attack. Has that user responded yet? Actually not. This one's nice. On Windows, when you enable tab preview, when your mouse is over Mozilla's icon, When the tab loads, you have an old spinner, which was the native spinner of Windows 7. Can you show me a screenshot? I don't really know what you mean, unfortunately. If you are on Windows, the snipping tool can be used to create a screenshot. It's built in to Windows since, I believe, Windows 7, or maybe it was Vista. I don't remember. So, yeah, if you're on Windows and you need to take a screenshot, I believe the snipping tool is what you want to use. I mean, it's built in. Here, I'll send him this help document. I shouldn't say him. Who knows who this person is? Their username is MIB, and like a whole bunch of characters. I'm using the male pronoun, and I might not like be appropriate, so I'm just gonna say they. I'm gonna send them the documentation. Okay, and then they're gonna come back when they have the screenshot. Cool. So the plant super quality bug comment regarding. Oh, cool. I put in a bug comment earlier today, and Jared likes it. Okay, plan of attack. When a new tab parent is created, have it asynchronously send screen data down to the tab child. Have it asynchronously send screen data down to the tab child. Okay, even before that, put a struct inside each tab child holding screen data. When a new tab parent is created, have it asynchronously send screen data down to the tab child. Give it zero-ish defaults. Have it asynchronously send screen data down to the tab child, which will then update its internal struct cache. Update the get rid of P Screen Manager. I don't think we're gonna need that interface. pscreenmanager.ipdl. I don't think we're gonna need this. Get primary screen rect. Screen for rect. Why do we even need that? Oh shoot. Why do we even need? So what I really need to do is have the content process not want to use. Okay, so this is a little more complicated. The content process is attempting to use NSI Screen Manager directly, and my original solution just remoted all calls synchronously to the parent. What I really want to do is get the content process off of the NSI Screen Manager entirely. Have it call some method to get the struct that we care about. Maybe that struct is a thing that implements NSI Screen. So I guess what I need to do is figure out how window.screen works. That's something that we must expose via like WebIDL. There must be something like some WebIDL for screen. Screen? Off screen canvas. Screen.webidl. Yeah, this is it. And screen interface. Get pixel, and then there'll be something called pixel depth. Get pixel depth on what is it? NS screen is gonna, what's DOM base NS screen? Does it do anything with WebIDL? DOM, it implements NSI DOM screen. I need to figure out how the WebIDL, the screen WebIDL, interacts with like our backend somehow. On Moz orientation change. Screen binding. So this is the screen binding that's generated. Great. That's what I care about. Available height will do what? Self. NS screen is what it's going to use on self. Self. So screen binding. Here we go. NS screen, and then it will wrap itself. Wrap object. Got it. Who calls a screen wrap object? Really what I want to do is screen WebIDL. What do I want to do here? We have the screen thing, and if some JavaScript, I guess some DOM JavaScript wants it, some web content will wrap it. And so somewhere in WebIDL there'll be something like window.webidl screen. Per spec screen is the same object. We don't actually guarantee that given NS global window clean up. So read attribute screen. So is there like a get screen window? NS global get screen. Forward to inner get screen. That returns a DOM screen. Wow, this is complicated. One of the problems is that the screen interface is pretty old. So it's pretty tightly woven into Gecko here. It's used for a bunch of other stuff. And like, I think what I want to do is see if I can figure out the path from typing window.screen to actually like hitting some of that screen manager code. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to attach 69086. I'm going to attach a debugger. I'm going to use LDB and Xcode. 69086A 69086. I'm going to attach that content process. And now that I'm attached, I'm going to break. I'm going to set a breakpoint on NS screen manager. NS screen proxy? Screen manager proxy? Get screen. Screen for ID, screen for rect, screen for native widget, get number of screens. Which one? Let's do screen for native widget. See if that one's what's called. And we'll do another breakpoint at screen for wrecked. Wrecked. You just got wrecked. Break. There we go. Continue. And now in this build, I'm going to open up this. I'm going to go window.screen and see what happens. So we hit our breakpoint. We're in screen for native widget, and that comes from device context find screen, which comes from compute full area using screen, which comes from ns screen get available rect, get available rect, get available with generic binding getter. So we have this binding call JS native. So what we need to do is have ns screen, maybe, instead of saying like maybe we should have ns screen check to see whether or not, before ns screen starts asking the screen manager about stuff, maybe it should see if it's in the content process and ask the content process for it. Get available rect. Tab child. Do you know about content child? Content. XRE. Okay. From like get available with, this is under like ns screen get available with comes from get available with. We're just getting all the properties. Get avail with in nsscreen.h. Get width. And then that will call get available rect. And we'll attempt to get the device context. And we'll ask the context to get the rect. Device context, in this case, is just ns device context. Find screen, we're going to get a thing that returns a screen back. Screen manager, screen for native widget. Find screen, screen for native widget. Oh, if there's a widget, if widget get owning tab child. Oh no, okay. Then we get native data. Screen for native widget. That will call the proxy. In this case, we have the widget, which is just tab child. Cache, so let's take the event loop. Let's see. Screen for native widget. Maybe, like, how many of these other screen manager, NSI screen manager .idl, how many of these do you think would be called from the content process? Screen for rect, is that called? Screen manager proxy. Screen for rect. Is that ever called? Rect. That'd be called from where? Global window. Move to outer. Move to. We'll use move to. Oh boy. This is tricky because let's see. This is tricky because there are parts of the DOM code, the content code, that's going to ask for other things from the screen manager, like give me the screen that this rect will be inside, for things like calculating moves and stuff. Oh, if caller is not Chrome and the user is not explicitly exempt to the site, move to outer. If we're in the content process, ignore the request. We have more than one tab in the window. Okay. So that can still work for... So we can still do this in the content process. We might do this. So I feel like maybe we need... That's a pain. Screen. What's screen used for? Then we call get rect display pics. And get default scale factor. That's what we want. We want scale factors. Ooh. MIB 7A05DH says, shouldn't this be taskbar preview? Let's see what this image is that you're referring to. Oh, that thing. Good question. So now that I now understand what you're talking about. When you enable tab preview, so it's called Windows taskbar previews. Yeah, when your mouse is over Mozilla's icon, when the tab loads, you have an old spinner, which was the native spinner of Windows 7. On Windows 10, you're still showing it. Wondering if that's normal. I'd say probably not. To answer your question, let me actually do this so you can see me typing. Okay, that's great. I think I understand now. Thank you. To answer your original question, which was, I've noticed something, just wondering if it's normal. No, I don't. I think you've stumbled upon a bug. We should get it filed. I'll file it right now. And you can CC yourself if you'd like to follow along. So before we forget, let's CC or let's file this bug. Taskbar. Is there anything for Windows? Platform integration. Windows toolkit. Where is the Windows taskbar previews.jsm? Is that what it was called? I think it was called taskbar preview. SI taskbar preview, Windows preview per tab. And where does that belong? Arrow peak is what was called, like the under. That was the original feature name. And then this bug, use a map to manage arrow peak previews. The Firefox General is where they put that one, so I guess that's where I'll put this. Firefox General. Okay. Whoops. My language is broken. Okay, so I'm going to say this is on, doesn't matter for unspecified, I say an unspecified platform bit type, 32, 64, doesn't matter, showing old Windows 7 era loading spinner inside taskbar preview on Windows 10. A user approached me on IRC and told me that when using the taskbar preview feature for Firefox, that Windows shows an old style Windows 7 era tab spinner while the thumbnail is loading. I've attached a screenshot of an example spinner, though the user didn't actually capture that on their machine. It's just an example of the kind of spinner they're talking about. They didn't capture it on their machine. The spinner goes away too quickly to properly capture a screenshot. I shouldn't say properly, to easily capture a screenshot. Spinner they're talking about, so I'm going to attach the taskbar preview image example of the spinner in question. Okay, so submit the bug. So the bug that we just filed is, when it goes, 1333859. So if you're following along, I'm going to put that in the notes. Filed that bug for, what was this user's IRCNIC? MIB7A05DH. And then I'm going to put a link to the whoopsie daisy. There you go. There's your bug. Okay. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I'm worried about this screen manager bug. It's starting to like spiral out, which is not too unusual whenever you're working in large software systems. Something that you thought was just, oh, well, we'll just have it ask such and such instead of such and such. It's like all of Gecko, or a good chunk of Gecko, seems to be pretty interested in the screen manager and certain functions of the screen manager. I don't know how easy it will be to decouple it from that. Let's see. Let's see if we can find all uses of screen manager. So there's some use of it. It's pretty popular. It's pretty popular. Yeah, it's pretty popular. I think it'd be, excuse me, hard to decouple it. So in a way, what I did was kind of the right thing in that I proxied, like it was the simplest solution. I was proxying all of the calls to screen manager to the parent. It's not great. I'm gonna have to write down my frustrations here. Um, this is all. This is going to be tricky. There's a bunch of stuff that can potentially run in the content process that seems to call into the NSI Screen Manager synchronously. No wonder I went this route as my initial solution. It was clearly the simplest. For example, here's a stack. I'm going to copy the backtrace of what happens when we call window.screen. But I also want to point out that window.screen, like when we call window.screen, I first hit the screen manager with this stack. Let's paste in the stack. But there are other places where we might query the NSI Screen Manager for other reasons. For example, during window NS Global window move to, was that it? NS Global window screen move to outer right here. Get a perma link. So what are we gonna do? Let me think for a second. Make sure my stream is still running properly. Just while I'm thinking, I'm just gonna make sure everything's still hunky-dory. You seeing me on Airmozilla? Yes. You seeing me on Twitch? Yes. You seeing me on YouTube? Yes. Ooh, I was scratching myself apparently. You see me on Facebook? Maybe. Still thinking. Screen Manager is used in a bunch of places. Let's take a look at the interface. What is the interface of Screen Manager? I know we did this before, but let's take a look at it again. Once we have a screen, an actual screen is inert. Like that is basically a glorified structure. It'll just return. Like I think we could probably like lock these down from the like lock minimum brightness. I don't know who uses that. Lock minimum brightness. Who uses that? When was that added? Keeping the screen on. Oh, Fennec uses it. But like, is it actually used? Blocking Fennec. Provide API to keep Android. Brightness. Mobile browser patch. And browser UI will say brightness lock. Full screen video. Fennec? I'm gonna look under mobile. Full screen. Set full screen. Oh, I wonder if we do more in the Java side. Lock brightness. I'll bet that's what it is. I'll bet we do. We probably don't need that API anymore. Unlock. So let's think about this for a second. We've got some old stuff here we can probably get rid of. We can probably get rid of NSI screen, any of the methods on it. These two we can probably get rid of because I don't think anyone calls them. The rest of these are just getters, essentially. Let's just double check. Lock minimum brightness. Anyone calling that? No, 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 no. Not used. Okay, so that's one thing. Get rid of lock minimum brightness and unlock minimum brightness because nobody is using those anymore. I'm using monospace. Courier. Oh, I should be using Helvetica. No. Okay. Get rid of lock minimum brightness and unlock minimum brightness. That simplifies things a little bit, at least for the screen interface. Now it becomes just a struct. The screen is just a struct. That's nice. The screen manager, we have these query functions. So what do we have? Like we'll have the primary screen. Let me just copy all of this in. We can start writing some notes. NSI screen manager interface. Let's drop this in. Oh, that does not format nicely. Is that just the way I pasted it? Yes, it is. What? Why is that? Show it. Raw Delio. Come on, show it to me. Log file. Let me just take this stuff. What? Why is it all collapsing? I just want to, for archive's sake, is there like bad line endings on it or something? Thank you. That's all I wanted. I want the whole thing, not just that chunk. I want the whole thing. All right, and zoom back in. So let's write some notes in here. The first thing is it wants to be able to get a screen for a rectangle. It wants to be able to get a screen for some arbitrary ID. So every screen, it looks like, has an ID given to it. A unique identifier for this device. Okay. That's nice. We want the primary screen, the number of screens, the default scale, and then no script, screen for native widget. Okay. That's not so bad. Screen for rect is probably the hardest part because essentially what we have is we're going to have to duplicate the logic that does, like if we decide to implement this in the content process, we have to essentially duplicate what we do in the parent process for screen for rect. Let's see how screen for rect works. Screen for rect. How does screen for rect work? Screen for rect in the Windows instance, it will get the monitor from rect and then create a new screen object. So it will call, that's interesting. it will call operating system methods there. For GTK, it will optimize the common case. It'll go through each screen and find the one which has we have the most overlap with. Gonk. Just primary screen. Coco. We'll enumerate the screens and we'll see if the area, we'll just do the one, it's the same algorithm. So that's what we might want to do. And then screen for rect per puppet widget. Primary screen. We might want to re-implement sort of a platform agnostic screen for rect. Basically, a screen manager for the content process that is platform agnostic. And then what we do is, let's see, we'll show the, we'll do this, instead of sending, oh boy, anytime the population of screens changes, maybe a screen is attached or detached, okay, I'm starting to come up with a plan here. Potential plan. Re-implement NSI Screen Manager in a platform agnostic way in the content process. Have the content process be, have each content process be informed of the size and location of each screen so that the content process can calculate rect intersection. Hello, Israel. So Israel just waved and said hello in Air Mozilla. Hi. Have each content process be informed of the size location of each screen on startup. So like as soon as it starts up, give it a bunch of screen information. And then anytime the size or location of each of a screen changes, update each content process. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. That way, at that point, oh, we also need to tell each tab in each window oh yeah, have the content process key these on the screen IDs. We also need to tell each tab in each window which screen ID they belong to. That way if, sorry, I'm probably off screen. That way if a window is moved, we should detect which screen ID the window was moved to. If window is moved, thanks to our window moved listener, that's what's called, right? Window moved, yeah. We detect what screen ID the tab parent was moved to. And if it's different from before, so we're going to have to store ID in parent and child. Yuck. Then send down an update saying you are contained within a new screen with ID X. The tab child can then or the screen manager in the content process, since it always knows about each screen and their dimensions and stuff, can always immediately return information about a screen with a particular ID, and it can also do the rect intersection calculations. So the real task is figuring out if we can be told when the operating system has the number. We told when the number of screens have changed, told by the operating system when the number of screens has changed, or if the size of a screen has changed. If we can do that, I think the rest of this will fall into place. Bam! Okay, I think we're on our way to a solution here. See, I could have started working. I could have started writing a bunch of code, but just a little bit of thinking, a little bit of thinking it through and kind of simulating it, a little bit of research, a little bug reading, and we stumbled onto a problem without even writing a line of code. And now I have a new plan, and who knows, maybe this plan will also fall apart, but we have a new plan that's a little more educated, and it's a little more in tune with reality. So hopefully this is going to work. What I want to do next is check to see maybe some operating system documentation on whether or not screens have been attached or detached. So I do believe I had highlighted some types of messages here. Did change screen notification for OS X is one. That's posted whenever a portion of an NS window object's frame moves onto or off of a screen. I don't think that's actually what we want. Let's actually start with Windows. Windows API. I want like the messages. I want the Windows API window messages. I want the full list of messages. Give me the messages. I want a full list. There are probably a bunch of them. Is there just a list of them? That's what I want. Yeah, here we go. Here's a big list. Show me all of them. So here they are. Let's see if we can find one that sounds right. Close, compact, create, destroy, enable, get min-max info, input line change. Whoa, no. There's got to be more. There's got to be more. These are window notifications. I think that's the problem. I want screen notifications. Windows and messages. I want like screen. Desktop window manager maybe. Screen interface. Well, what do we use whenever we're talking? Yeah, we should be looking at the what screen manager APIs do we already use? Screen manager Windows. What do we use here? We use, oh, this is some old code, you can tell because we haven't linted it properly. What Windows APIs do we use? Creating a screen widget WinUtils monitor from rect. That's one. Enum display monitors. Get primary monitor. That's interesting. Monitor default to primary H monitor. Okay, so what's, for example, get primary monitor and enum display monitors? Let's take a look at these. Get primary monitor. WinUtils get primary monitor does what? Primary. We'll get monitor from point. So that's what I also want. Let's take a look at monitor from Point and enum display monitors function on MSDN. Let's see it in its original in the MSDN library. Multiple display monitors reference. That's what I want. Are there messages? Multiple monitor system metrics. Enumeration. Each monitor device context. Positioning using multiple display monitors. Functions and structures. We'll periodically enumerate Windows GDI. Windows API detect new monitor. Detect external display being connected. WM device change. Let me to register device notification. The other question is how to detect hot plugging a monitor, getting a vendor monitor hot plug. Run your window and attach SPI, which log messages. Plug your monitor, check. Get system metrics. Let's see. According to this article, Windows sends the WM display change message when display resolution changes and also when a display is added or removed. Aha! That might be what we want. Let's take a look at that message. And is that what yeah, that's something that Asan had pointed me to. You should get a WM display message when the resolution of screen or window is on changes for any reason. Sent to all windows when the display resolution is changed. Whoopsie daisy. The horizontal. Lower horizontal. Sorry, you're seeing the top of my head, I realize. I feel like it's basically the same. I want more documentation about this message. This doesn't seem to be enough. TechNet. Hot plug seems to be the looking here. Display. Switch if though it's okay. You create a polling loop to regularly check. Use a background worker. This person says that you should get a message if there's another screen. Display change will be sent. This is something I guess I'm going to have to test whenever I have a Windows box. But for now, let's assume. So I'm going to add a to see if WM display change is sent when displays are added or removed. I have actually a Windows 10 machine that I can build on. And I can test that. What else? For OS X, do we have OS was a Cocoa detect new display or detect display change or detect monitor added. How to find monitor count. Notification when displays are detected. CM device. Profiles. Same user info. Returns a stale value for any screen after the dock moves from one screen to another. Wait a second to the next scan. The screen arrangement dock is reconfigured. So hang on. Added when displays are added, removed, or resized. Okay. For Windows, which will be my priority. For OS X, what is the being recommended here? NS application did change screen parameters. What is that? When the configuration of the displays attached to the computer is changed, that's exactly what we want. For OS X is exactly what we want. Okay. Do we already use that somewhere? We do not, so we'll be registering for that new message. For GTK, Linux /GTK, what do we use? GTK detect new monitor. GTK screen. So GTK screen, get number, get width. This visuals, does this have any signals? Composited change. Monitors changed. Aha! Then when the number, size, or position of the monitor is attached to the screen change. Only for X11 and OS X for now. Monitors changed. Only for X11. Monitors changed. GTK. Monitors changed. I have to test that. How can I check that? I'm gonna have to read some more documentation, but the monitors changed signal. What else is there? Size changed when the pixel width or height of a screen changes. Composited. The composite status. Signal details. Is there anything else? Resolution. The answer is to map the default root window. Default root window. GTK. Detect new monitor. Height. I guess would be good if I could find like an example of monitors changed being used, maybe on GitHub. Maybe someone's used that. Monitors changed in code. GNOME shell extension in C. Display dbus. Let's listen to dbus. Dbus. Do we have any dbus stuff? Dbus connection. GNOME. GIO service. Linux dbus monitor changed. Dbus monitor. No, that's not it. Dbus screen changed. Lock screen. Subscribe for dbus event of screen power off. Org. Is there a dbus signal? primary change signal display dbus. Dbus display. And then what was the other message there? Dbus display, primary changed. Wayland. Monitor display config. Wayland. Okay. Let's take a look at some of these examples. It seems to be the same thing again and again and again. GTK screen. GTK. GTK business. No actual. Oh, here's one. Test Zinorama. Monitors changed. Monitors changed. Callback. What's Zinorama? Monitor geometry. Get monitor at window. So maybe the documentation is off and the monitors changed event will work, or signal I should say. Monitors changed. Who calls it? Monitors changed. Signal emit by name. Process monitor changed. 611. It's back in December 13, 2007. New monitors changed signal. New IPI to get width, height of monitors, and the name of the plug. Screen size changed. Events. What is this? GTK events. So complicated. GTK event translate. Type was window. Configure notify was received for window. So I don't see anything about this being necessary. I mean, it's X11. I don't know what that means. I'm so not privy to how that works. It's been a while since I've had to think about, like, I know what X11 is and an X window is, but like what I want to know is if I attach a second monitor to a Linux box, am I going to get that signal? I'm going to have to find out. Okay. The monitor's change signal? Gotta find out. Okay, so this is the investigation we're gonna do, or that's the investigation I'm gonna do. So I think I'm gonna write up my plan in the bug, and then we can start attacking it. But I think that's also where I'm gonna draw this episode to a close. Maybe we can take care of more of this next week, or maybe we'll do more Rust. We'll see. We'll see how much I get done in the next few days. I want to thank you for watching episode 88 of The Joy of Coding. I hope that was interesting. I know we didn't write a whole lot of code. There wasn't much coding in today's Joy of Coding, but I thought we did some pretty decent work. There was a lot of thinking. We wrote stuff down. Do check out these notes if they're interesting to you. They're free to look at. There's a link to them in the agenda right here. That link should take you to my notes. Let's see. Yes, these are my notes. So hopefully you find that worth reading. So thanks for watching episode 88. Holy smokes, we did it. Let me go back to my screen over here. You were great. I hope you had a great time. I hope you're having a great week. I hope you're going to have a great week coming up. And I will see you next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, for the next Joy of Coding, episode 89. We're slowly creeping up to our 100th episode. I'm probably going to do something special. I got to think about it, though. I've got like 11 episodes to kind of come up with something cool to do, but we'll see. Again, thank you so much for watching episode 88. Don't forget to rate the episode. If you look at the... I'm going to put a link to rating... There's like a link to rating the episode in the agenda. I'm going to toss another one into the Twitch chat. And let's see. That's about it. Like, do rate the episode. And let me know what you thought, and I'll do my best to accommodate you if the episode didn't suit your fancy. And that's it. Take care. Have a great week. See you next week. Bye-bye. Oh, come on. Why does this always happen? Oh, this is such tragedy. Come on. Reload. Is it because of a network event? Here we go.
The joy of coding.
See it.